Hello and welcome to this mini lecture on media relations. I want to start off by talking a little bit about attitudes towards the media. You know, a lot of professionals that you talk to in the world of communication who are on the other side, who are the communicators for agencies or for corporations or for academic institutions, regard the media as an enemy. It's a very antagonistic relationship. And you'll hear a lot of common complaints from people. You know, people complain when the media doesn't cover a story that they pitch to them and they really hoped that they would cover. They complain when they do the story, but they do it in a negative way. There are always claims that the media is biased or out to get people. And of course, on one end of the spectrum, you have complaints that you can't get a reporter to return your phone calls. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have the complaint that reporters won't leave you alone. Well, I think a lot of these attitudes and complaints could be done away with if people simply understood a little bit more about the culture of journalism and what the reporter's job is versus the communicator's job. So that's what I hope to get across to you today. Some real basic rules that will help you not only manage your expectations, but hopefully manage a productive relationship with any journalist whose path you cross. So let's talk about the job of a reporter. So a reporter's first obligation is to their own audience, their readers or their viewers or their listeners. The reporter's job is not to present your message or even to be an advocate for public health. That is not what they get paid to do. The reporter is expected to report the news objectively. Now, I know what you're thinking, which is that there are some news organizations and some individuals out there who are not at all objective, who may indeed have a bias, who selectively present facts. That is true. But by and large, the vast majority of people who go into journalism do it for many of the same reasons that we go into public health. They're concerned about fairness, social justice. They want to see democracy function well. They're very idealistic, just as many of us are. And when they go out to report things, they try very hard not to insert their opinion in the story. They try to present something that is balanced. But sometimes their personal opinion may enter in. There's some people out there who do it all the time, but most of the people are trying to be as balanced and as fair as they can. Reporters are also supposed to serve a watchdog function. So when reporters are asking tough questions, when they seem like they won't leave you alone, you might step back and say, why are they doing this? And part of it is because they are the people who are supposed to ask the tough questions on behalf of voters. In a democracy, they're the ones who are supposed to blow the whistle on wrongdoing, and they take that job very seriously. So if they're highly skeptical or sort of accusatory in the way they ask questions, that just goes with the territory. They're kind of like mini district attorneys in the way that they approach their job and the kinds of tough questions that they ask. It's also a reporter's job to present multiple sides of a story and to provide context and elaboration. I think that's important to understand because, again, they're not going to just take what you've given them and present it verbatim. They are supposed to go out there and gather other facts. They're supposed to fact check what you've given them, and they're supposed to find other points of view. And so to expect anything less in a story, to expect that it might not have an opposing point of view, is just setting yourself up for disappointment. And additionally, reporters have to be accurate and fast. And that's become even more, the fast part of things has become even more important in the digital news world because news can be out there instantly. And so you can actually help reporters in meeting that goal by responding quickly to them yourself. That's a great way to endear yourself to a reporter that you're going to be working with on a regular basis. So what is your job, on the other hand, as the communicator? Well, obviously, you are supposed to advocate for your issue or organization. That is what you do. And so in some ways, that does set up an adversarial relationship between you and the reporter who is not supposed to advocate for anyone, and you who have a point of view or a message to get across. But there are ways that you can still do your job without antagonizing the other side. First of all, you could recognize a good story based on its news value, and we're going to talk about newsworthiness in just a moment. Don't pitch stories to reporters that aren't going to be newsworthy, that aren't going to be something that will help them meet the needs of their audience. Pitch the story well, be fast and responsive, honest and accurate. You can help keep reporters accurate as well by being a resource to them. Reporters often appreciate being able to pick up the phone and have a back-channel conversation with somebody who can help explain something to them. That's even more the case in a field that has a lot of jargon and expertise that can be tough for a layman to understand, like public health does. You also must accept, as a communicator, that the story is not in your control once it's in the hands of the media. And accept rejection gracefully when it happens and be ready to move on. So some major contact points that you may have in your job as a communicator with the media are the following. You may be putting together collateral, which is another term for written or digital materials like press kits and fact sheets and brochures. Those are known collectively as collateral. You may receive requests or inquiries from the media to interview someone or to provide some information. There are sometimes in-person opportunities to interact, perhaps at a special event, or if you host some kind of media tour that you open up to the media. But the most common way that you will be in touch with reporters is typically when you do pitches to them, when you contact them to try to persuade them to do a story that would be of interest to your organization. So if you're ever going to pitch a story to a reporter, one concept that you need to have a good handle on is the idea of newsworthiness. What makes a story worth reporting? And there's some criteria that are commonly regarded as the criteria for newsworthiness. It's a list that most reporters don't actually have on their desk, but they all kind of know intuitively. And so you want to think about whether or not your story meets one of these criteria. I think a good example to think of when is something newsworthy versus not is if you think about the idea of drunk driving arrests and when one of those appears on the front page of the newspaper. You know, unfortunately, probably many more people are arrested for drunk driving than we would imagine on a given weekend in Athens. But which of them makes the front page of the newspaper and gets a full story written about them? None of them, unless there is a significant impact or consequence to their actions, unless maybe they've killed someone, injured someone, or destroyed a big piece of property. Perhaps if there's a conflict or controversy around the idea of drunk driving, it might make such a story more timely or more newsworthy. If there is a prominent local official or perhaps a UGA football player involved, prominence would enter into things. And so you see that a typical story may not meet the criteria, but if it has something that elevates it in the reporter's eyes to meeting one of these criteria, then it has a chance of being covered. The same with any story that you might pitch to them on heart disease or healthy eating or emergency preparedness. You have to find an element of newsworthiness before a reporter will even consider it. So what do you do if your story is not newsworthy? Well, like I said, try to have a newsworthy story. But if it's not, a couple of things that you can do are, number one, to try to tie your story to an unrelated but timely news hook. So For example, if you were working on infectious disease, let's say on something that's not particularly newsworthy most of the time, something like maybe tetanus, let's say, and you have a hard time getting coverage for tetanus related stories. Perhaps right now during Ebola would be a time when there would be an opening to talk about infectious disease, when you would actually be able to relate your story somehow to Ebola. You've seen lots of people doing this with various health issues, talking about smoking, talking about gun violence, talking about obesity as epidemics that are more serious than Ebola and deserve more of our attention. So it's definitely something that you can do, although a lot of people sometimes jump on that bandwagon. Another thing that you can do is to create a news hook. Make a news hook. So you can host an event, you can declare that it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, you can do something that creates a news hook for something that would otherwise not have news. Or you can have a feature story that is so compelling and entertaining that it practically sells itself. And this would mean finding a really great story, a really good human interest story, typically, that is just something that everybody wants to read about. That's hard to do. And if you don't have any of those things, if you don't have newsworthiness, you can't manufacture it, and you can't find something that is, while not newsy, just incredibly compelling and engaging, then don't pitch the story. And I say this because a lot of times you may be working for a boss that is insistent that you must get coverage on a story that has no news value, and you need to be able to push back and to wait for an opportunity when that story may be more newsworthy or when you can make it so. In closing, I want to leave you with 4 tips that will help you work more effectively with the media. The first one is to use basic courtesy. What does that mean? Well, be sure that you're contacting the right person. If you have a health and medical story to pitch to someone, don't contact the person who covers the police beat. Be sure you've got the right producer, editor, or reporter for the job. Find out whether they prefer to be contacted by email or by phone or by fax, and do it the way they prefer. Whenever you get somebody on the telephone, always immediately ask, "Are you on deadline?" If they say yes, hang up the phone. Don't tell them why you were calling. Don't tell them that you'll call back later. Just say, "Okay, thanks, call you later, bye." Get off the phone as quickly as possible, because when a reporter is on a deadline, they're not interested in hearing your story. And finally, don't waste time even when they're not on a deadline. Be succinct and to the point. Have your pitch outlined ahead of time before you get on the phone, and try to keep it to 60 seconds or less. Second tip, think like a journalist. Be aware of what's going on in the day's news. If there's some big breaking story, again, the reporter is not going to have time to talk to you about something that's unrelated. So wait until the next day or another day to make that call. Remember the rules that I told you about what a reporter's job is. Always provide them a news hook or a newsworthy story. And if you have an evergreen story, one that doesn't have a time attached to it, that can stay on the shelf and stay fresh for a while, pitch that at the right time too. Sometimes you'll have something that may be newsworthy but doesn't have an element of time, and those are perfect stories to pitch to them, for example, in the lead up to the holidays or during the slow summer news season. Save those stories for times when reporters need to fill up the airwaves or the front page with something and can queue up stuff that doesn't have a shelf date on it. Third tip, build trust. Get back to reporters quickly. Become a trusted and helpful source, but at the same time, remember boundaries. Even if a reporter has shown themselves to be an ally to you, to be somebody who does a good job reporting stories, they are not your friend. Be very careful if you go out to lunch or you go out for beers with somebody who's in the media. Remember that they have a job to do, and so do you. And sometimes you've got to keep some boundaries in between you. And finally, understand that you win some and you lose some. Sometimes the story that you're pitching, no matter how good you think it is just not going to go anywhere. So you got to know when to back off, when to let it rest. Don't take the rejection personally. Just know that there will be a next time and you'll have another opportunity to get their coverage at some point in the future. You should also understand that when they do a story, sometimes you may not like it. That's okay. Again, there will be a next time. And finally, don't ever burn bridges. You never know when the person that made you angry about this particular story, or the person that wouldn't take your phone calls the last time you pitched a story, is going to become really important to your issue or your organization. And so you don't want to treat a journalist ever as an enemy. Treat them as potential allies, and hopefully you can effectively work with them to help them do their job and to help you do yours.